FPX now on the red side, we see another Hecarim, Nidalee, and Lilia ban, very jungle focused bans coming in from both teams, I dare say, as even Rare Atom banning 2 junglers and 1 potential jungler. Although Gragas has been played more in the top lane and the support role at this point in time, he can still be considered a jungle ban, I believe, especially in this current circumstance where there's literally like 5 to 6 jungler bans. Now, we see the Thresh lock-in coming in here from Rare Atom, followed by a response on the side of FPX with the Volibear and the Rel. The Rel, of course, doing big work on the side of FPX in that last game, many 3 to 4 man engages. The question is, will Rare Atom go for the Aphelios here? Thresh enables you to go for the Aphelios. It's not like a must pick, unlike how if you pick Aphelios, you have to play Thresh. But now, with the Thresh pick, it opens you up to the potential of an Aphelios or another hyper carry like the Jinx, another scaling hyper carry that lacks mobility like the Jinx. However, Jinx, after getting a kill or two, actually can get a lot of mobility. Jinx, of course, coming back into favor now because of her rockets that give her the extended range that allow her to bully the likes of the Sennas in the early game. Now, Samira being locked in here from FPX. Haven't seen Samira in a little bit after the series of nerfs she has gotten, but FPX feeling quite confident with it locking that in. Now, with the solo laners remaining here for both sides, let us see what goes on. Also, I like to highlight the Rare Atom Xin Zhao pick. I'm a big fan of that. The extended range on the W and the buff to the E makes it very interesting. That dash now having extended range, as FPX now wanting to deny Rare Atom that perfect front to back scaling team fighting composition, now banning out the on. Rare Atom here with looking to perhaps attack the early game of FPX, might look again for the Jace ban, perhaps even the Twisted Fate ban. I don't expect to see a Sylas ban here again coming from Rare Atom. They could also look to take away the Victor, the Azir, and of course the Orianna. All very strong dive composition champions. Actually is the Twisted Fate come in here. I suppose that's fair enough because you want to take away Fun plus Phoenix ability to snowball the early game, and of course Twisted Fate is one of those biggest snowball of the early game kind of champions. Fun plus Phoenix here banning out another front to back tank here in the form of the Scion, who's got very safe laning phase. That Fun plus Phoenix obviously want to look to abuse the top laner as they have done in the previous game. Ngar is still up here, Rare Atom most probably will not be banning that out. Wouldn't be surprised to see a last pick for Nuguri here on the side of FPX, looking to get him an advantageous lane so that he can really abuse RA's top laner Cube. And Orianna ban here, that's kind of to be expected because FPX do have a strong team fighting composition, very strong dive composition. Let's see what they'll choose here on the side of FPX. They could potentially go for the Galio mid lane. Interesting hover of the Lucian here, not really something that I would identify as a doing beast special. However, it still can be considered a very strong mid lane pick, very strong blind pick as well. The Victor, kind of what I expect to see more. It doesn't really fit into the dive composition though, I must be honest. And there we go, a Renekton pick, a beautiful pick now that I come to think about it. It's a beautiful flex, can be played in the mid lane as well as in the top lane. Also fits relatively well into the dive composition. Renekton's main weakness being that he has a hard time engaging in the mid to late game, and that's no problem at all when you've got a Rel on your team, when you've got a Volibear on your team. This all kind of adds up. And Fofo going for that Zoe in the mid lane, looking to just get some priority and roam, help his jungler out. Very strong mid jungle 2v2 coming in from both sides as the Ngar is hovered. Will FPX go for the Irelia here again, actually hovering the Sylas? Or they could potentially also go for something like the Irelia or the Jace, maybe even the Fiora. But the Sylas here, I don't think that's so great. Akali, a fantastic pick here, could put her towards the mid lane. Renekton is known to be countered by Ngar. However, it is not too bad of a counter in some matchups depending on how much jungle help you get. Actually, it seems like the Akali is going over towards the top side. Ignite and Teleport locked in here for the side of Nuguri. Very excited to see how this go down. Let's see, taking a quick look at the teams. Rare Atom has nice scaling with their bot lane, and of course Cube can always provide that little bit of tankiness on the side of Fun plus Phoenix. Looks like they're going to be very much pushing the tempo in the early game, trying to reach a peak in the mid game and just take away the game here. And look how fickle the fan votes go, as FPX are looking to be the ones majorly in favor of winning this according to the fans. Unlike last game where Rare Atom was supposed to win it, and FPX in very, very handy fashion swept them off their feet. Let's see what happens in this round. Win conditions are very clear. FPX can play towards the bottom or the top side. Having an immobile AD carry does mean that Rare Atom scaling does not assure them victory, as the Akali can potentially get into the backline and one-shot your carry, the one you're supposed to protect this whole time, which will lead to a lot of problems for the side of RA. That being said, they do have a secondary carry in Fofo in that mid lane, so they could potentially have a lot to work with as well, but basically the carries are going to have a lot to work around here. I'm not personally a big fan of Zoe, because I feel like Zoe, you kind of very literally hit or miss. If you hit your spells, you're good, you're big, you're huge. But if you miss them, you are pretty useless. Unless the people start flashing and blowing summoner spells, in which case you can waltz around the team fight. But aside from that, you pretty much serve no purpose, as both teams aching to break out into the Summoner's Rift are now floating, flying, and walking their way towards the map. As we see here, Mercedes-Benz, the official sponsor of LoL Esports in China, as well as the World Championships, if I'm not mistaken. Now, a quick defensive ward coming in here from Lian, and looks like the same can be said onto the both jungler and bottom side of FPX. Looks to be a pretty standard game. So, I kind of expect Nuguri to again kind of set up for a dive in the top side. But if Tian is starting out in the red buff, looks like he perhaps has more interest in trying to snowball his bottom lane, or maybe even get ganked down into the mid lane. See here, this is exactly why Jinx is picked nowadays, because the advantage you get with the range from your rockets actually allows you to harass the enemy AD carry, especially those short range AD carries like Senna when she first starts out, as well as Samira, and even the Kai'Sa, in fact, I would say. And Kai'Sa and Xayah's range is pretty much the same. So Jinx actually is in a very comfortable position to just zone. Look at this, zoning the bot lane right from level 1. LWX pretty much starting lane at half HP. That means that Rare Atom is definitely going to have the advantage in terms of the early levels, as we see here. Eyeboy already getting the push on in the early game. Looks like both teams started without a leash for the junglers. Hung stepping up very far forward, actually getting engaged on, using the flay onto Crisp. Crisp trying to use that crash down to engage on Hung, but Hung, knowing that that was the only way they break this advantage they have in the early game, is for them to get a kill, not wanting to allow them to do that, and very, very easily just securing themselves that kill. Now, let's not forget here that Samira is potentially quite in danger of getting hooked by Hung at level 2, because depending on what he goes, he could go for the projectile blocking ability, or he could go for the dash, but the dash does not allow him to dash through allies anymore. So there is that to consider, as already the first plating siege has begun. Hung using his demolish to chip away at the tower. Looks like in the jungle, Lian is falling behind in the initial clear against Tian. Tian already here in the bot side, but his laners have just hit level 2. There is pretty massive wave, however they might not want to commit for this. It is Water. Hung hitting the hook, Cleanse being forced out, LWX jumping in onto Hung with Crisp. Hung forced to flash, Tian is in the area, he will flash stun, use the lightning, and down goes Hung. Over aggression punished there by the side of FPX. Of course, I suppose this is what you can kind of come to expect from FPX. If that gank didn't go down, I think FPX bot lane was in a terrible spot. So, to a certain extent, I think Rare Atom should have expected now in the 1v1, oh, it's not already a 1v1 actually, as despite Fofo having the priority in the mid lane, bot lane priority means that it is a 3v2 situation at best. And with that, Lian just runs up through mid lane trying to get the priority and allow himself to secure the top side scuttle, which he will be able to do with the both top and mid priority. So far in the top side, Cube looking to have the time of his life, as Doing B is getting some harass down here in the mid lane. And for now, Nuguri is kind of just suffering, but once level 6 comes, that is when Nuguri's kill threat onto Cube increases dramatically. If that Shuriken hit, I'm pretty sure Nuguri would have gone in. However, if he went in, he might have died. Remember, Nuguri does not have flash and he can be punished. Oh, the bot lane going in onto Hung. Hung just got back to lane and it looks like he's just going back out into lane. Easy recall expedited by the bot lane of FPX with LWX leading that as Tian here. His jungle is being taken slightly, however, he's managed to stay actually completely even in terms of CS with Lian and having one gank above him. This Volibear jungle so far doing much more work in the early game compared to the Xin Zhao. However, Xin Zhao, thankfully, with the changes to his W and E range, has actually some potential for working in the mid to late game. Last time, Xin Zhao used to be really strong early and then fall off extremely super hard. But right now, there is potential for him to come back, to be useful at least in the early to mid game. Sorry, the mid to late game. Meanwhile, as we look at the CS, look at that bot lane discrepancy. Sweet goodness. 41 to 15 CS. I think those two kills don't really do enough to cover that difference in the CS. Unbelievable is this difference. Oh my goodness gracious me. However, I suppose we can say that FPX can thank their lucky stars that they did get those two kills. Otherwise, there'd be a very uncomfortable position as Hung roaming out into the mid lane, doing B with his fancy feet, zig and zagging through the CPP trouble bubble as well as the death sentence. Really not even bothering to use his left hand at all in that moment in time. Tian now looking to try and invade Lian, still managing to keep up in terms of farm. Tian looking to start up the dragon. I think this is rather interesting because the priority in all three lanes right now is kind of in favor of RA. Rare Atom has a pushing mid lane and has a potential to have a pushing bot lane with the Jinx Rockets yet again. However, I suppose he's taking this small window of opportunity where FPX actually do have the push in their bottom lane to try and look for something here. Cube jumping in, trying to predict the jump in with the Shuriken toss with that wall. Unfortunately, Nuguri not interested in going into a mega formed Nga. He will most definitely get tossed into the wall if he tried. And in the bot side here, FPX's struggles continue as Crisp has developed a level lead over Hung. However, things are still looking kind of sus as LWS can really only farm with his Q Fofo and roaming up to try and get some fruits in order to allow him to harass Doing B further. Doing B doing a relatively good job in this lane as the melee champion, actually keeping up in CS. A beautiful ward put out here, I think, by Nuguri. Spots out Lian in the top side. And Tian now going to his Krugs. Will Lian invade to look for perhaps a red buff on the Krugs as the hook lands in onto Chris. Chumpers falling a little bit short. Chris just waltzing out of that. And looks to be a pretty chill early game. FPX developing a 600 gold lead in the first 6 minutes of the game. Very much slower tempo game than before, which definitely favors RA in this position because they have the Hyper Carry Jinx, who has had so far a pretty stellar lane. And Nuguri now that he's hit 6 is potentially W hitting there onto Lian. Nuguri could potentially be in some danger if Cube decides to roam down, but it looks like Lian calling it off from his top lane and deciding he just wants to clear out as much of the jungle as possible. Now, that is a fantastic skin actually coming in from that Xin Zhao. That is exceptional. Anyways, so Nuguri with level 6 available now. Oh, flash coming in from Chris, but Chris is flayed back. LWX coming in as well, but Hung tries to flash. Hung is still level 4. FPX is level 6. LWX, I'm sorry, and dodging away from the cork. Coming in, going in with the ultimate. Infernal Trigger gets shot, but then ultimate coming in from iBoy. iBoy low on mana, low on HP, but LWX actually using the lifesteal from his ultimate as well as that Vamp Scepter to sustain himself. Literally drain tanking iBoy's complete damage combo. Everything but the zap hitting. And it looks like FPX's bot lane fully understand what their lane is like. They understand that all they need to do is weather the early game storm and go ham into Hung. Hung now in a terrible position, giving up 3 kills already to LWX. 1 level down perpetually against Crips. At this point, he might even get to 2 levels down. Nuguri in the top side is looking to go aggressive onto Cube constantly, which is the beauty of watching the top laners nowadays. But unfortunately, Cube is playing this much wiser than he did in Game 1. Game 1 really wasn't too much of his fault, however, if I must admit, he kind of just played the cards he was dealt based on competition. Chris actually being jumped on here by Lian. Chris called way too far out. Tian here to extract his support. And in the mid lane, being ignited up by a random ignite picked up by Fofo from the minion wave. Dragon is not spawning for another 2 minutes and 20 seconds, so I'm not quite sure what both teams are doing, rotating around this area. That being said, Rift Herald is now on the map, and we know that FPX have a huge affinity for that. Now that Nuguri is level 6, he could put a lot of pressure onto Cube, both top laners with even CS, and in the mid lane, only a slight CS discrepancy in the favor of Fofo. Lian now looking to push out the mid lane, maybe? No, never mind. I thought he's going to help Fofo push out the mid lane, but I suppose there's no point helping a Zoe push out the mid lane, as that champion really just has it all. Doing B getting hit up by the sleep means he will most definitely take a chunk of damage coming in here. Oh, didn't have ultimate, unfortunately, for Fofo's side. Fofo a bit slow to siege down even the first tower. Oh, as Fofo jumps straight into a stun and a tower shot, not really doing too much damage. Ping's going down onto Rift Herald, as well as doing B, signaling that Lian could potentially be looking to start up the Rift Herald, or even maybe look to dive doing B, which I find to be unlikely, as doing B does have dominance and does have flash, as the fight begins for the Rift Herald, and it starts with the Scuttle Crab at 763 HP, both the junglers slapping away at each other. Fofo managing to hit the pedal star onto Tien, but doing B is here as well as Chris to secure the Rift Herald. FPX with their Rift Herald rotations, again, crisp as always, able to, no pun intended, able to pretty much secure the Rift Herald with a numbers advantage, as Hung is still in the bottom side at 0-3, has managed to catch up in terms of CS, in terms of experience, but has not really as a result has had to allow Crisp to roam the map. However, Crisp has left, is back in mid lane, as Lian jumping in onto 10, focusing down the top lane, the support, the jungler of FPX, as Lian is burning away but will not go down, unfortunately for him, as the boulder toss comes in. Oh my goodness, I suppose there was no hope. I'm pretty sure they had no vision on that boulder toss as well. Fortunately for FPX, they do not allow that to be stolen away, as Lian is actually over the wall from Tien, stealing out his buffs, out his caps, as LW is going in 1v2 onto iBoy, pulling out the Inferno Trigger while Hung was there with the Flay. Suicidal indeed. I think he miscalculated how fast that Crisp could reach there. That is potentially a big incoming in there. Fortunately for him, Hung was the one to secure the kill, as Tien trading back on the opposite side of the map, getting some playthings for Nuguri, as the teleport is coming in from Fofo. Fofo is coming in hot. It's going to be a 2v2 situation, but Fofo just juking them out, just bluffing with that teleport, actually runs straight back to mid lane with that movement speed he gets, while Lian was holding down the mid lane. Good job here from the members of Rare Atom, securing themselves a kill in the bottom side, actually kind of capitalizing on the mistakes of LWX down there in the bottom side, and with that teleport actually allowing Cube to come back and save his tower, giving him a point at which he can be safe against the onslaught of Nuguri as well as Tien. As we look down here in the bot side, LWX here dodging out the hook, giving himself confidence and realizing that he can stack up his ultimate really quickly. Actually, beautiful play coming in there from Hung. LWX kind of should have predicted that, however. I don't know why he kind of ran towards Hung. I think he had a better potential for making the outplay if he ran towards iBoy instead of towards Hung. But either way, Hung playing that perfectly in that situation, as Lian now walking towards the bot side, as is Fofo. Tien is in the area while Doing B is stuck in mid lane, but Doing B does have teleport. Both the members of FPX actually opting to stay safe. Does LWX actually have his shield bow? Yeah, he does. Excellent, as the dragon has spawned now, it's up to the members of FPX to ensure that it is not started up and finished by the members of Rare Atom with bot priority, as well as a little bit of mid priority, because Doing B has based, is coming back now, does have his stride breaker. Fofo miles, kilometers away from completing his own mythic item, since he had to take a quick detour in order to secure himself that armband, as the strike breaker coming in, as is the stun chain CC down, but the exhaust coming in there from Fofo, picking that up through his unsealed spellbook, as Lian now counter engaging, but ultimates coming in from both FPX member, jumping in and jumping out. Doing be trying to flash, oh, he flashes too early but uses the Q, actually stealing so much HP, as Lian is wailed down upon by Tien, as well as Doing B. Super Mega Death Rocket cruising through the map, not hitting anything at all. Tien's ultimate used to jump out, but Doing B popping his ultimate to go in. Fortunately, that little bit of miscommunication was not punishable by the members of RA. Like I say here, I'm pretty sure Fofo missed a pedestal, a single pedestal, which would have made a huge difference in that fight. Of course, the thing is that Doing B has reached his mythic item, which is one of his power spikes, while Fofo is still miles, centuries, and kilometers away from his own mythic item, which means that in terms of the mid-jungle 2v2, as we just witnessed, FPX is much stronger, especially in these prolonged fights with Doing B having that Conqueror. There really is no hope for the mid and jungle of Rare Atom to fight or win this. And as I say that, Tian now contesting Lian in his own jungle, trying to steal away his red buff, but Lian managing to steal that away. Sorry, secure it from the invading polar bear. With global warming, it's now up to the polar bear to invade and secure what he can outside his own jungle. And with that, he's going to take away these raptors. Poor Lian is just besieged from all sides. And so far, winning lanes, I would say that bot lane is winning, considering that it's 3 kills and he's managed to catch up in terms of CS relatively well. Still constantly at about a 30 CS, 20 to 30 CS disadvantage. However, with his Q, is able to farm up his LWX. And with both objectives down for the next 3 to 5 minutes, looks to be nothing too much to do here. Interestingly enough, I think Rift Herald is... No, the next Rift Herald will definitely spawn in time. I'm sorry, I saw the Baron logo on the top right hand part of the screen and I instantly figured, does that mean that Baron is the next objective? But no, it is not. Now, during this lull in action, I'm going to get myself a quick swig of water. Now, checking in on the lanes again. Nuguri also having completed his mythic item first because Q, out of fear and necessity, actually securing himself a Hex Drinker first. Both the solo laners of Rare Atom fearful for their lives and knowing that their win condition is scaling as Lian jumping in on Doomby. 3 level discrepancy between the two as Doomby using his Strikebreaker to dodge away from the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Lian very, very confident attempt in trying to fight the crocodile in that situation, my dear sir, as he has a 3 level lead on you and he will most definitely chop you to bits. My goodness. As doing B, they're actually pretty much unkillable, unbeatable, un-1v1, maybe even un-1v2able at this point in time when he has his ultimate. And looks like Rift Herald will be spawning in a few... I can't really tell. Will be spawning in about a minute and a half. And for now, I mean, I like this coming in from the members of Rare Atom solo lanes. They understand that they just need to survive the early game and the mid game, get into a strong late game groove, and they will be in a fantastic position. iBoy already finishing off his Kraken Slayer means he will actually start to do decent damage. He has a lot of frontline to work through, unfortunately, with Crisp doing the and Tian going to be constantly onto him. This will allow him to kill Nuguri faster. Unfortunately, I don't think you can really race an assassin in terms of who kills who first. If you can, my money is heavily in favor of Nuguri, who is having a pretty decent lane up here, actually managing to do decently well against the poke. Cube actually trying to jump in, using his ultimate. Oh, getting the stun off, but the Nuguri dodged that with his ultimate. Whoa, that looked really good there from Nuguri. Nuguri trying his best to jump in on Cube, but Cube, with the added safety he has from his Hex Drinker, actually is doing a decent time holding off the advances of Nuguri as the first tower going in favor of Rare Atom's bot lane, just barely if ahead of Nuguri in that top side. Nuguri doing a fantastic job in the top side, but a fantastic job also being done by the members of Rare Atom's bottom lane. FPX really like to push this top lane advantage and ensure that they have it in order to make sure that they secure these Rift Heralds and are able to snowball the lane quickly. It's really a simple recipe that they have kind of perfected over the course of a couple of years and in this split. With the coming in of Nuguri replacing Khan as well as Gimgoon. And don't get me wrong, Khan and Gimgoon were fantastic in their roles as well. Gimgoon more of a gangplank scaling player, while Nuguri gives them that jack of all trades, able to play scaling as well as early lane bully as well as assassins. As Dragon is spawning in 20 seconds, it looks like 4 members of each team are here with Cube running down in order to try and look for something here. Nuguri in the side lane trying to push and get as much pressure on the map as possible. Does have TP, but Cube running down here in order to allow himself to use his TP to return to lane, and as well as allowing himself to get here ahead of Nuguri 5v4 situation now. FPX are mightily split up. This dragon might be going over to the side of RA based on positioning, but Nuguri teleporting into his bot side as the tower falls to Herald and doing these combined efforts. A flank coming in here. Nuguri is hit up by the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, doing jumping over the wall to ensure that his top lane does not get one shot by Fofo. Jumping forward with the Strike Breaker. Dragon is going down low. Tien and Lian are both there. Lian steals it away, and Chris going in for the backline, getting two people. Flash coming in from iBoy. Oh no! LWX was pinned against the wall by a beautiful Nga coming in from Cube. Doing be re-engaging onto Cube. Split is members of RA. Tien jumping in on the backline, but Fofo jumping over him. Fofo and iBoy just whittling away at Tien, forced to flash out. Chris is the last member alive with Nuguri. Beautiful hook coming in from Hung, allowing the Sleepy Trouble Bubble to hit, and the Paddle Star as well as the Flame. Nuguri is being bounced around and CC to death as he dodges away from the death sentence, using what he can to try and bring back this fight, but unfortunately it is not enough, as the main damage potential coming in from LWX was snubbed by Cube's beautiful Ngar into the wall, allowing iBoy and Fofo over the blue buff wall to wail away at him. Cube getting there in time to... oh no, never mind. I was gonna say getting there in time to secure the Rift Herald, that additional 25 gold. Unfortunately, he was not there in time. Cube, maybe he's doing decently in lane, holding the line and performing fantastically in this team fight. I do believe he has managed to complete his Strike Breaker, which is the reason that he decided to group up with his team, and that was huge for his team. As we see here, it was a split fight, and in the bottom side here, Lian securing away that dragon with his ultimate lock, knocking Tien away. Chris trying to flash in, and Fofo and iBoy so safe over there. Cube jumping in onto LWX, and then 4 members of RA just piling in on Doombi, trying to extend the fight, and him and Nuguri trying to take out Cube, but Cube just jumps away from them and engages onto Crisp as Lian finishes off Doombi. And meanwhile in the back lines, Tien jumping in there to try and disrupt them as much as possible, buy time for his team. He was gunned down without remorse. He did, however, manage to take out the Jinx. And iBoy, that's just the way it is. Immobile AD carries, and this is a dire composition. So right now, honestly, I'm thinking Rare Atom is in a fantastic spot. Don't get me wrong, FPX can most definitely bring this game around and can most definitely have the potential to win it. They are still stronger than RA is at this point in time. It's just that a beautiful engage there coming in from Cube, and not to mention, FPX were split in that situation. So everything just went in favor of Rare Atom. FPX was split, and then Rare Atom managed to chain CC LWX into the wall. LWX was not able to press a single button, did not have cleanse in that fight, and was not able to come out of the CC and provide any damage for his team. Dragon going over to Rare Atom, everything just going in favor of them. Now that Baron has spawned, however, FPX, knowing that they do on paper have the advantage, are looking perhaps to clear out some Baron vision and threaten the potential Baron. However, Rare Atom does have the Zoe, which makes objective takes in general a little bit more dicey, because that poke coming in could potentially be huge for the members of Rare Atom. The game is pretty much in the air. If I was flipping a coin, that coin right now would perpetually be spinning in motion at the apex of its arc. But let us see what goes on now. FPX with 2 dragons and about a 500 gold lead. Really, I think the gold lead you can kind of dispense with at this point in time. Just looking at the champions, FPX is about as strong as they will ever be at this point in time. And despite that, Rare Atom are the ones who are pushing their advantage in the mid lane. Actually, Doombi jumping in there with his Strike Breaker, positioning very aggressively. Unfortunately, not deciding to go in. Curious what is to happen now. Next dragon is spawning in 1 minute and 20 seconds. That's unbelievably fast. And Baron is up as we speak. Looks like Rare Atom have very much control over the map right now, with their top and bot lane pushing in, and with the advantage they get from the superior AoE damage from the Jinx rockets as well as the Zoe Paddle Stars, means that, oh my goodness, Paddle Star coming in, chunking Nuguri to a quarter of his HP, but Nuguri still managing to hit the Shuriken flip over there. Don't think he wanted to take that into the enemy team. If he did, I would consider that to be quite broken. Now, Dragon is spawning in 50 seconds. FPX, their moment in time to try and redeem themselves, as Rare Atom have stayed constantly grouped in this past few minutes, which is good for them to allow them to siege down this tower. Unfortunately, it means that they are splitting their experience in ever so many ways. Doing be hit by the death sentence. Oh, managing somehow to dash out, to slice out of both the Sleepy Trouble Bubble as well as the Chompers. Unbelievable. As here we go, Nuguri jumped on by Cube with that Stride Breaker. And now let me take a quick swig of water. Alright, mid priority is going ever in favor of Rare Atom, but Nuguri in that bottom side is actually allowing him. Oh, Chris could potentially been jumped on there by Cube. Cube with his strike break up could have jumped in there. He might have gone a little bit too far. Might have been a really good decision. Nuguri pushing in that bot side, providing a bit of that pressure. Doinb channeling his recall now, does have teleport, but if he teleports, it might be a little bit too late. His backs have been stopped multiple times. At this point in time, it is too late. Doinb, you're making a mistake, as this dragon, I think, is going over to the side of Rare Atom. I do not expect to FPX to be able to contest this, as the teleport is coming in now only. Dragon is stolen away by 10. Can you believe it? Oh my goodness. Doinb jumping in, front to back team fight. I say RA has an advantage, but Nuguri is on the side. Chris jumping in, but Lian jumping in onto Nuguri, trying to get him away from his backline. Doinb in the front now is being taken down by the team. Cube also in the front, trading front lines and backlines. LWX is now zoning away the backline of Rare Atom, as Cube is left to hang. 3 members diving in on him. LWX actually single-handedly holding off the backline of RA, as Nuguri even managing to secure the bot lane tower. Okay. And now, just like that, everything went in favor of FPX. Doinb with extremely late teleport. Somehow Tian, with no level advantage, managing to secure away the dragon from the clutches of Rare Atom, from the paws of Lian. Talons in this case, I suppose. And Doinb jumping in, I thought he was in a very dicey situation. Let's see here. Tian actually just getting a good smite off. Lian using his ultimate a little bit too late. Doinb using his strike breaker to slow up the front line. And in a straight front to back, I think they were in a bit of trouble. Chris jumping in, and then Lian recognizing that Nuguri is going to go for his backline, jumping in on him. Very wise play. Doinb actually zoning 3 members with that Stera Shield being massive. And then LWX takes his turn. Tian comes in with the stun as well as the slow from the thunder, and then Doinb jumping in to finish off the job, as Nuguri is actually causing havoc in the backline, killing out Hang, but if he gets traded here, it will not be worth it. Top laner for support is never worth it, as Lian looking hellbent to try and finish him off. A rocket coming in and taking him out, and well, a 1-for-2 situation. Definitely worth it coming in from the side of FPX. Now the smite is gone for the side of RA. FPX can start this out. That being said, Fofo does exist, does have spellbook, but Cube is jumped in, but this is a potentially dangerous spot for LWS. Can get Ngar into the wall. Fofo jump in with that pedal stun, nearly taking 10 out, and just like that, FPX are not going to be able to finish this out. LWS getting hit by Sleepy Trouble, has to cleanse it, is hit by the pedal star on the tail end, and his shield bow is procced. So far, good trade coming in here from RA, actually taking away a lot of resources from the side of FPX. Cleanse gone, shield bow popped. That's pretty much it. But still, that was pretty massive coming in there from Fofo. Like I said, Zoes can be very hit or miss. If you don't hit anything, you are pretty useless. But Fofo is showing that he is that exceptional Zoe who can do what others cannot do and be useful in this game. He is pretty significantly far behind in terms of gold, and is only 1 assist ahead of Doinb, as you see in the replay down there. Hang getting hit by the Shuriken, managing to flay Nuguri off of him, but Nuguri going really deep with that second part of his ultimate, and unfortunately for him, Lian was in position to try and fight him. Lian nearly lost that 1v1 actually, but that I suppose is to be expected when your enemy laner has 2 levels up on you, as well as almost an entire Void Staff. Lian with this Sinjao pick, I mean, he hasn't done badly. He hasn't really had too much lane. I feel like in the lanes, during laning phase, he didn't really have much presence. He did manage to steal away that dragon very nicely. He has managed to zone out Nuguri very nicely in that last team fight. But I think that's something a champion with a dash could do. So I don't really know how I feel about this Sinjao pick. I think it hasn't been as effective as we would like it to see. However, it's kind of to be expected considering the amount of ban pressure that both teams put on each other, with about 5 to 6, depending on whether you count Gregus, 5 to 6 bans coming in here, as LWX with some cheekiness just using that twirl in order to deny the zap killing that cannon. Knows that he will not need it for the next few seconds because his support was right next to him, and even if Hang tried to flash in on him, there was no way that things would have gone badly for him. Now, Dragon is spawning in a minute. This is soul for FPX. RA, we've seen they will most definitely contest this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited to see this next fight. You have no idea. Doinb pressuring out the top side while Nuguri is pressuring the bot side. A 1-3-1 coming in here for the members of FPX. Both the solo laners of either team will have teleport by the time Dragon is on the map. Currently, Doinb does not have it. Channeling his recall, finishing out his Randuins now. Multiple Randuins coming in here for the members of both teams. the full AD composition of FPX with that little bit of AP mixed in from Nuguri makes the full armor itemization of Lian pretty effective. However, you are not the one, and considering the fact that he's not going to be the one that Nuguri wants to be fighting, this is potentially really good for them. Now, both teams not looking to do too much here aside from secure this dragon. FPX with the push priority in both side lanes and in a decent spot. Now, FPX do want to go for the flank, but if Rare Atom play the fight like they did the first dragon fight, where they go hard onto the members and the flank from FPX doesn't come in fast enough, they could be a potentially devastating spot as Doinb teleporting in again into the as a frontline member. Now, RA do have advantage in securing this if you ask me, because Lian can use the ultimate, but when using his, getting onto Eyeboy, Eyeboy is stunned, the box comes out, but Eyeboy is taken out from the fight. It's a disaster. Eldoris is jumped on by Cube, but Cube doesn't have enough damage to finish him off. Eldoris chasing it out front. Lian flash away from this. Nuguri is chasing away Hung and Fofo. Disaster coming in there. Doinb coming in huge as Chris flashing in for forced to use his flash as well. Doinb so good. Hung is super dead from this as Nuguri does not have his ultimate, but wow, that's a nice little combo coming in. Unfortunately, Crisp is waiting for him over there and Nuguri jumping over the wall. Death Sentence hits, but that only slows you down as Crisp just using every CC available. Nuguri hitting his passive, allowing him to get that movement speed. Fofo going down as well? What? What happened to Fofo? Oh my goodness. Oh, catastrophe. Absolute catastrophe. About as bad as things could go. That was the absolute opposite of the first fight. In the first fight, everything went RA's way. Second fight, everything went FPX's way. And in the third fight, FPX forced things their way. They took it. They were like the 100 Thieves. They took what was not given. And let's just see what happened there. Doinb seeing an angle, using his slice, and then using his strike breaker to get the stun onto Eyeboy, tanking up all the CC with his Sterax, with his Randuins, and in the back line here, Cube trying to solo out LWX, gets mighty close. Unfortunately for him, LWX is like, no, you can't solo me by yourself. And the back line here, over the screen, you see that Nuguri was just zoning away Fofo as well as Hung that whole time. Now, I'm curious kind of what happens to Fofo as we see, we see the flash and everything, and then Chris goes up there to help out catch Nuguri, and then help Nuguri catch, oh, Fofo just getting engaged on by Tien, literally just getting ran down by the bear. It's like if you don't get ran down by the super fast Udyr, you get ran down by the super fast Volibear. Something about bears and their need for speed as Nuguri trying to secure away the blue buff. Unfortunately, unfair advantage going in favor of Fofo, who does have smite. And wow, that was a fantastic EH coming in there from Doinb. I did not see that at all. Eyeboy is actually such an integral part. Both the AD carries, and you might not hear this very often in the season that we're in, season 11, but both AD carries are such integral parts of both of their compositions, as Doinb going in very deep here is 3-person deep. Unfortunately, they decide that he is a bit too big in this current point in time to take down, as Cube trying his best to whittle away at the HP of Doinb, but Doinb with that Randuins actually not really feeling very much from the basic auto attacks of Mininar right now. Nuguri already given some time to work on that top lane tower as the assault on the base of FPX continues. Cube going way too close onto Doinb is Doven. Oh, LW is going in quite deep as well, but he's taken quite low. Lilian actually coming in the rocket. Unfortunately, tower takes him down. Doinb is very deep, tanking up tower. They need to finish up tower so Doinb doesn't lose any more HP using Strike Breaker, dodge away from the zap. And unfortunately, LWX was tanking tower the entire time, but Nuguri, not part of that fight, takes out another mid lane tower, and now both mid and bot side inhibitors are left naked. Unfortunately for the members of Rare Atom, the inhibitors don't go down, because I mean, Baron isn't going to be spawning for a little bit. Elder Dragon isn't going to be spawning for a little bit. If the inhibitors went down over there, I think that they would appreciate that funneling of resources they would have gotten into their Jinx, into their Zoe, I guess? Into the Zoe, but mainly into the Jinx, because Jinx can clear these waves super quickly. Interestingly enough, Jinx, I know Phantom Dancer is a fantastic item at this point in time, but I still expected the Jinx, fully expected the Jinx to favor the, what's the item called? Runan's Hurricane still, or maybe he will consider getting it as like a 6th item, allow him to get a lot of damage ringing out onto his team, but I suppose he needs that bit of survivability that Phantom Dancer provides him with that movement speed. Now let us see what happens now with FPX coming back into the mid lane with renewed vigor. Oh, doing me jumping in with the slice, with the dice, with the stride breaker. Unfortunately, damage being traded back in favor of Rare Atom. LWX here is playing a very dangerous game. Jumping into this team composition is as well not very fun, as Lian does have a knockout, as does Hung. And we know what Cube can do if you get too close to him. Pin you against a wall, wall up you again and again, and throw a bunch of houses onto you. Nuguri leading the split push on the side lanes. On the top side, sorry. 33 minutes into the game. At this point in time, I feel like based on the items as well, iBoy does tons of damage as he's, oh no, iBoy's flashed in by 10-10, massive engage. Doing B in the backline, zoning out too, and Lian is forced away from his base. Doing B is just tanking up towers. Tien helps him turn them off as Cube using his Gnar ultimate to throw Doing B back. Doing B not taking any damage from towers or champions at this point in time. Lian was trying to proxy the mid wave, but it looks like FPX are settled to go in through the bot side. Nuguri taking the Shuriken toss way into the fountain. Unfortunately for Lian and his best efforts. Oh, Nuguri taking out Fofo in the steps of the fountain. Nuguri is also not really taking much damage, if I'm going to be honest here, as Chris pulls Cube back into the waiting arms of Nuguri, and Doing B joins in the fight as well as LWX takes out Lian. Enough of this, as say FPX, as they end out the game just like that in spectacular fashion. Tien picking up where Doing B left off, saying, Doing B, you know what? I can do that too. Finding the engage onto iBoy. iBoy feeling so safe and secure. In fact, I thought he was fully safe and secure as well. Unbelievable turn of events there coming in from FPX. Fantastic engages coming in from both the mid laner as well as the jungler. And Nuguri, just off of fountain farming, Fofo and Cube, actually dealt the most damage in the game. And Fofo actually carrying his team in terms of damage as well. So now we know that if Fofo has the Zoe, it cannot be considered useless. Doing B also doing a fantastic job, nearly getting as much damage as LWX, and to be fair, LWX has had quite a rough game from the early game to getting pinned against the wall with the vast amount of CC that they do have on the side of RA. So far, a fantastic job coming in there from the side of FPX. RA not one to falter though, can potentially try and pull off the reverse sweep. There is still hope now for this team, but of course I want FPX to win, but I acknowledge that RA are strong competitors and they can most definitely mount a comeback. So let's see what happens tomorrow when we stream game 3. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see